Hello everybody, Anna Sabramowitz here. Thank you so much for joining me. In this episode, we're going to talk about the hero's journey. And if you're an e-learning and instructional designer, you might be thinking, what does that have to do with me? But you might have been hearing about these buzzwords and storytelling, and I want to show you what it's all about so that you have the language, the repertoire, and you understand the concept, and then you can really figure out how to use this effectively in your own e-learning and learning experiences, because storytelling is very powerful. It's one of the amazing ways that we can actually engage people deeply. Scenarios are also very powerful because they give people the ability to make decisions. And so if you use these two strategies and just basically stack this skill set on top of your instructional design and e-learning skills, boom, you're off to the races. You're creating things that are awesome, that are engaging, and also people really resonate with them. And you enjoy doing them, because flexing your creative muscle is what we're all about here. All right, so first off, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure you give me a like. And also, if you're returning and enjoying this kind of content, make sure you put a comment to let me know that where you're visiting from and how you're using storytelling in your everyday work. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe so that every time I launch a video, which is twice a week, that you get notified. Thank you so much for joining me here. And if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you check out in the description below how to get a link to the YouTube channel so you can check out my magical whiteboard sessions, all right? And we're going to get into one of them today, because this is really probably one of my favorite topics in the world, the hero's journey, and also this idea of character development. And what I wanted to do is take the stuff, you've probably heard about this from, books like Joseph Campbell, and that's basically where the idea originated. But there's so much stuff out there about storytelling. What I wanted to do is distill it down for you into these usable pieces so that you get the gist, you get the idea, and then the framework so that you can work within it and it doesn't overwhelm you when you want to incorporate these kinds of pieces into the work that you're already doing. All right, so let's get started. The first thing you want to think about with your characters is, and this is when I talk about characters today, really think about it even from the concept of movies. What is a character? A character has two major needs, right? Two needs. And actually, no, it's actually these two, when I say needs, I actually shouldn't be saying that. It should be two motivations. So scratch that, it's motivations. That's what I'm thinking. And the motivations are, there's this outside one. So there's the outside motivation. And there's the inner motivation. Now, you can also think of these motivations. When we talk about motivations, it's like, why would somebody want to do something? Like if you're watching a movie, usually the character tells you why, or you learn why they want to do something. It's usually the outside thing that we learn. It's very visible. And then throughout the movie, you discover kind of like the inner reason why they actually wanted to do that thing. But if you want to think about it in a little bit different way, let's just step back a bit and think about this person. If we want to think about it a different way, they have a want. There's something that they want. So the want is something very like outside, it's very visible. And it's also something that is to this character at this point in their life, it's like a really worthy goal. What happens though is if the story is really good, we discover what the character actually needs. So every character has a want and a need. The want is something that they want, right? But the need is something that they discover sometimes begrudgingly that they actually should do. So the need is something that they need to learn. And sometimes, as I said, they need to do this begrudgingly. Man, it's fun spelling with a spell check. So what happens is that sometimes, as this person says, I want to do this with my life. And they're making that decision based on who they are right now. Like they're making this want, like I want this hot car. And then they realize what they need to learn is that they need to learn a valuable skill to actually learn to earn money. And then in the end, when they learn to make that money, they might not even want the car because they're like, well, that's actually not what I want. What I want is actually to invent something that will help people. So it's kind of cool because these two things play off of each other. And at the end of most stories, the want actually changes because this person grows. It's the need that helps them, right? And this is pretty fun. I mean, when you think about this, like you're crafting learning, but all of a sudden you get to be a creative. You get to not only imagine all these worlds that you're creating. The worlds are very contextual, but you get to influence who these people are. You get to influence the characters, what they do, and why they're doing those things. And that is, I gotta say, that's super fun. Now, so if we look at it in the context even of, let's say, Broken Coworker, which is an interactive story that I made with my partner Ryan, Broken Coworker. So in Broken Coworker, we've got a character, his name is Sam. Sam, he comes to work because he wants to be, this is his dream job. And what happens is he's bullied at work. And so what he wants to do is keep his job. He wants to stay there. So that is his outside one. He's like, I want to keep my job. And when you actually go through the interactive story, and yes, spoilers abound, what happens is that he learns something that he didn't want to maybe learn at the very beginning when he decided he just wanted to keep his job, is that he's going to have to stand up for himself against his bullies. Now, one of the things that's really cool about this and how it applies to our world of learning is that our characters and even the people that we're designing these experiences for, they want things. They want to be the best, or they want to have, they want to save time, or they want to have more autonomy. Like there's lots of things that people want. And what's cool is that you can have a character that wants the same things, but you're also sneaking in what they need, which is that if somebody wants to be somebody who's very efficient, well, what they need to learn is that they're going to have to sacrifice things that distract them and learn how to focus. So what you're doing is you're sneaking in those lessons because your character ends up doing that. So it's really cool. The character that is in your interactive story or your storytelling experience or your scenarios or, webinar, whatever you're doing, they have these wants and needs, and they reflect what your characters, that your target audience also wants and needs. So it's a cool way to sneak in lessons. Now let's really talk about what that hero's journey, what that really looks like, okay? So here, what I want you to consider is, that's why let's just dig into what two heroes' journeys are, because I want you to have this verbiage so that you can think about it in the context of what you're trying to build. And if anybody ever brings this up, you know what it's about, but also you can easily apply this framework to your story to make sure that there are no pieces missing. So this is our character at the beginning, and this is our character at the end. And then what happens is in the middle, you have a whole bunch of, this is the middle, right? I know it's pretty profound, but this is where all the experiences happen. And if you're crafting learning experiences, well, basically these are your scenarios, right? This is where all the scenario decisions happen. But your character goes from a transformation from a person who wants something on the outside, and they want to be right here. They want to get to here. And they also need to learn something or want something on the inside, is that the want and the need are what this person decides as they're in this space right now. So that's kind of interesting because basically they're making this decision about what they want from this place right here, this place. And I know that sounds kind of simplistic, but it's kind of like they don't know what it takes. They want to be over here. They want to be the hero, let's say, but they don't actually know what it takes to be there. It's kind of like if you were Luke Skywalker at the very beginning. He's this farm boy who wants to be, he wants to be known, he wants to have significance, and he wants to maybe be a fighter pilot. But he doesn't know that in order, so these are the things he wants. But he doesn't know that what he needs is to work with Yoda. He needs to work his butt off to become physically strong, to become mentally focused, to become a person who has a better character. And so all those things he needs to learn those things in order to become this person right here. When he's making this decision on what he wants, he doesn't know all the things that he needs, right? So these are the two journeys. And sometimes what happens with characters is, like I said, they might change what they want because as a result of the person that they grow, this internal journey that they're going through, they end up changing their goal. But you know what? For the simplicity of our experiences, and the fact that you're designing learning for people and you want to make it as punchy as possible, as meaningful as possible, in as little time as possible, you don't need to focus on the complexities of, does this person change what they want? No, let's just have them be, I want to be the best salesperson in this organization. And then they realize that they need to become better at negotiating. They need to become better at maybe creating better relationships with people. They need to become better listeners. All those things that somebody who just wants to be a better salesperson and doesn't really know what it entails, they would never think of that. And if you told them, hey, do you want a course on better listening? They'd be like, no, because I want to be the best salesperson. They might not even know that those two things are related. You get me? So basically, what happens is that we're just trying to connect people to this particular goal initially so that we can take them on the journey of growth here. And the person, and then one of the things we're looking for, and we can get into in other videos, is that idea of transformation. The hero's journey is about transformation. The hero's journey is about somebody coming in with a certain mindset. And that could be a mindset of bias. That could be a mindset of fear. Like in Sam's case, it could be a mindset of apathy. And then what happens is through the challenges that we put them through the experiences that they have, that we've designed, they become a different person. So our character grows and transforms. And one of the things that happens is, hopefully, through this transformation, our audience also transforms. They have this feeling, this satisfaction of a world where they are the hero. They've achieved this, and now they see the path with which that is necessary in order for them to get here. You've shed some light, given them some satisfaction to getting here, but also you've shown them what it means. And now if if somebody goes through this, and now they went from, Patrick being not so good salesperson to Patrick becoming the best salesperson, and it's because all of these skills that he's built up. Now, if I say, hey, audience, and let's say my audience is Susan, and Susan goes, okay, well, I also want to be a great salesperson like Patrick, and I realize now that it's my listening skills that really need amping up. This is really what I want to focus on. So where's that training on becoming a better active listener? Because I realize now that this is my gap. I want to be like Pat. So the Hero's Two Journeys is so conducive to you sneaking in these fabulous lessons. And then when I say sneaking in, I mean that what you're doing is you're actually just contextualizing why this is helpful. Like before that, if I said, just be a great listener, people be like, I am a great listener. All right, good. So what you're trying to do here is contextualize the lesson, share with them what that future them could be like, sell them on a future that could be theirs. Some people don't even know this is possible or don't think it's possible for them, but you've just shown them through this experience that if they just make some decisions that help them make those steps towards this outcome, it is possible for them. If it's possible for Pat, Susan can think it's possible for her. And that's what's fantastic about this. Now, if this is something that really resonates with you and you want to add this to your repertoire, and you think that storytelling is something that you'd really like to get good at and introduce maybe to your audiences, I would love to talk to you. We have a community of people who craft these every single day. And one of the things we geek out on is how to make these experiences not only really immersive and engaging for our audiences, but how do you create these experiences in a way that you're able to do it more often? There's how do we make them more simple while still maintaining that power that they bring? So how do you use good storytelling with some really good frameworks? So we're really obsessed with making sure that the front end and the back end of each of those e-learning and instructional design experiences, it's a great experience for the end user, but also you as the developer and as the creative behind them are finding it's a pleasure to work on them because they don't overwhelm you. Now, if it sounds like something that you'd want to explore further and you have maybe a vision for yourself or how you want to integrate these skills into your very own workplace, there'll be a link underneath the video that I'll put so you can book a strategy session with me and talk about what that would mean. If you're listening on the podcast, there'll be a link in the description as well. So that's awesome. Now, during this session, really what we're going to get into is, what are some things that you've been trying to do and where have you gotten stuck? So what are some areas that would really make a difference for you to move forward? For a lot of people, it is frameworks and systems. They'd like to do this, but the projects just get so out of scope that they end up reverting back to, let's do this, click next and info dump because right now we don't have time to be creative. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah. So if that's something that you'd like to explore and also become a part of a community of people who do this and live this and breathe this and give each other feedback on how to make those experiences better, then that's definitely something we should talk about. Because I think one of the things that happens when you work by yourself, and a lot of us are doing that these days, especially when you work remotely, and I've been doing it for years, is you really only get to see your own creative projects, especially on the back end. And what happens here is you can draw inspiration from other people's project because we're all applying the same framework. We're all talking about heroes' journeys, but everybody's applying them in their own context. So we have places where people are working with NGOs and people are working with retailers. We have people who are working to craft pieces for bias and equity and diversity and inclusion. And there's people who are working on how to help people establish better relationships with their parents. So the gamut is huge, but what it does is you now not only look at your own projects and are able to refine them, but the cool part is now you're looking at 50 other contexts, and if something comes up and inspires you, you can borrow that because the idea is to model what is already working, and you can borrow that and now incorporate it into your own repertoire, which is super cool because then now you're like, you have experience from like 50 plus different contexts because you've seen it. So I think that's kind of the coolest part of it. Anyways, this has been super fun. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really love talking about storytelling, and I really enjoy seeing how this is such a wicked learning hack, and we just need to really get good at it so that we can use it to its full potential, because it's ours, right? It should be ours because it is meant to teach. It's not just meant to entertain or to sell us products. It's meant for us to craft engaging experiences for people that we also enjoy being part of, which is super fun. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet so that you see when the next video is posted, because I'm going to be doing, of course, more of these kinds of videos and, of course, more deconstructions of interactive stories and storytelling experiences that I think really work, so you can start modeling them as well. And in the meantime, if you found this useful, make sure you share it with somebody who you think would benefit from it. Have a wonderful rest of the day, friends. Take care.